Hey everybody, this is activity 1.3.3, the constraints activity, constraining a sketch. This is the walkthrough for it, so if you have been sent this link, it's because you haven't done this yet, and I was thinking you probably need some more help, but again, it's not going to be worth full credit if you just follow exactly what I'm doing, because that's like a step-by-step here. So I recommend, again, going back to the this guy right here. This is the activity itself in Canvas. It's got the information, it's got this picture right here. This is a bit more, it says I'll have this on YouTube this evening. It's probably up on YouTube, I just never put it in there. I'll change that. So yeah, this is one of those that's a little more difficult because it's got kind of a step-by-step thing for you in the activity. Here's the PDF I opened. It is right there. The instructions are for Fusion, so while they're similar, they're slightly different sounding. The pictures are a little different looking, etc. The idea is we're going to get started kind of around, what did it say? Did I tell you where to start looking at it now? Alright. They wanted you to mess around for a little while and learn some stuff first, and then they're basically making you create this thing that looks like a ship. This is the very first thing you create. It's got step-by-step instructions. So what I'm going to do is start by creating a line on the bottom. Suggest the horizontal constraint and automatically constrain the line. Got it. It says don't worry about lengths right now, don't worry about other things. Put it on the x-axis of your sketch plane. Don't center it on the origin in this step. We'll do that later. Okay. I'm going to draw on the front plane. I'm going to hit N. I'm going to make a new sketch, and we're going to basically right now start with using just line segment. So let's make something, look right here, it's automatically constraining it to be horizontal to the origin. That's nice. If I click that guy and make a line segment, doesn't matter how long it is, let's make it over to here. There we go. And I'm going to unclick it right now because I'm thinking at some point it's going to give me measurements, and my measurements, you know, it's easier to look on here. My measurements look to be in millimeters, so I'm going to do this before I go any farther because it'll help me out to do it now and not forget. If I click these three little menu bar symbols right here, this document menu, I can change my workspace units, and I'm going to change those to millimeters, and I'm going to hit green check. And drawing that line made me think of that it was like 4 long, and I was like, oh no, that's supposed to be millimeters. If you ever get out of your sketch while you're working, just double click on it in the list and you can go back to it. Alright, that was my first line, my line 1. Alright, what do you need for line 2? Let's see. Line 2, new line, coincident with the left endpoint. So if I go and make a new line, coincident here, this will automatically give that coincident constraint if I click there for starting my new line. Boop. And if I hadn't unclicked that line and gone and changed my units, I already had one that was coincident that I could have made. What's next? It says move it left and right as I move it upward. Make it so that the perpendicular is displayed and click. Their perpendicular icon, it looks like that guy right there. Ours is not. So I don't believe it does choose perpendicular automatically. What ours chooses automatically is Onshape chooses automatically to vertical. And that's okay because, well, the horizontal line was horizontal, and a vertical line should be then perpendicular to the horizontal line. I'm going to click that. I can always go and change it later to be perpendicular if I want to. In fact, let me show you how to do that. I'm going to show constraints. If I take this is the vertical constraint, and I hit backspace, I clicked it, I'm going to hit backspace on my keyboard, and that gets rid of it. Now I can move it around any direction if I want to because it's not vertical anymore, it's not constrained. But I do have a constraint, and look, if your screen is skinnier than mine, you're gonna have, it's gonna look like this, and there's gonna be an arrow next to it because you can drop down and pick any of these guys. So you'd click the arrow that would be directly to the right of this guy, and you'd go down and pick perpendicular. Perpendicular, I just gotta pick 2 lines. I'm gonna pick this guy. It shouldn't change that one because it's constrained to be horizontal. And I'm gonna pick this guy. And now I've got a perpendicular constraint, and if you look at it, it's right here on this line. Like if I mouse over it, it'll tell me it's these 2 line segments, but it's over here. It's not in the corner like it is for Fusion, which is a little bit annoying because then, you know, how do I know without mousing over it what it's constrained to be? It's a little frustrating. Add a third line that's perpendicular to the second line in a similar way. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click there. It's going to be perpendicular. I can change these later. After line 3, what do we want to do? Line 4, diagonal line. Move it up and to the right to place a second endpoint. All right. There we go. Then it says line 5, perpendicular to line 3. Okay, we're going to make that guy perpendicular. Hey, look, it's vertical. That's perpendicular to line 3. Line 6, avoid automatic constraints. Okay, it's going to go to the right and slightly down. Cool. Complete the sketch. Make line 7 enforce parallel with line 5. All right, so I'm going to have this. I'm going to have a diagonal guy. I'm going to have this guy and that guy. And I just made it kind of look like a boat. It doesn't have to look exactly like their boat. That is okay if it doesn't. Let me go back and change this constraint here. Hold on, let me unclick line. Let me change this constraint to be a perpendicular constraint between these two. Notice the one I click first is kind of where the constraint lives. That's okay. I'm going to make constraint perpendicular here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this vertical constraint. I'm going to delete this vertical constraint because it's not supposed to be there according to what they wanted us to do in Fusion. They do want it to be parallel though. It says line 7 should be parallel to line 5. And if you don't know which line is which, let's look at this one. Line 7 should be parallel to line 5. Look at, they've got a parallel constraint showing up for those two. Line 7 should be parallel to line 5. Okay, now that's got that constraint. Line 8 should be perpendicular to line 4. All right, line 8 and line 4 are the two diagonals. So let's find the perpendicular and make these two guys perpendicular. And it says line 9 enforce parallel to line 3. So 9 and 3, it wants to be parallel. All right, parallel, 9 and 3. And it's hard to see right now. I think I've also stuck it. See, this guy is that one. This one I'm going to delete because I don't need that one. If it's parallel to that, it should be horizontal. And line 10, just connect the endpoints and finish the sketch. Okay. I'm not going to finish the sketch because I'm going to have to put constraints back on it. It says your polygon might be a little different looking than that. And mine is a little different looking, but it's got the same constraints. So everything so far is the same. So manually, said finish a sketch, so I'll show you how to get back into the sketch. What you can do is you can like right click on some aspect of the sketch and hit edit sketch 1. That's one way to do it. Or you could do what I've done before in this video and you can just double click sketch 1 and I can come back to it. I'm going to hit show constraints so we can see what we've got, and that way when we put new ones on we know what we're doing. Alright. It says line 1 and line 9 should always remain parallel. Is that something that we have already? So remind me of which ones. 1 is this one and 9 is this one. Are they always going to be parallel? Well, let's figure it out. This guy's horizontal. This guy is perpendicular. This guy's perpendicular. So these guys are always parallel. This is always parallel to this one. We just told it to do that. So this guy and this guy are always going to be parallel. That's something that's automatically constrained by saying this is perpendicular to this line, is perpendicular to that line. So those are parallel. This one's parallel to that one. Therefore, it's also parallel to that one. So yes, 1 and 9 are parallel based on how we've done this. What's next? Line 6 should always be parallel with the x-axis despite revision in the orientation of any other line or edge. Which one's line 6? Is that the top? That's the top. So based on what we've got so far, line 6, it's not parallel to anything. We've specifically avoided making that parallel or perpendicular. So I'm going to go ahead and make it parallel to that. That's one thing that we need to have happen. And it says add it if it's not satisfied. Okay, lines 5 and 7 should always be the same length. Ooh, which ones are 5 and 7 again? These guys right here. Okay, are they the same length? No, they're not. How do we make them be the same length? We can add the equal constraint and say I want these two to always be the same length. Notice other things are changing, like we make them the same length, but because of the other constraints, other parts are moving around and being funny. If you want to see something funny, grab one of your corners and see what happens when you move it around. Yeah, weird stuff, right? All right. What's next after that part? This design would require that line 3 and 8 align horizontally so that they always go up and down with each other. Line 3 and 8. Hold on, 3 and 8. Align horizontally. Here's 3, here's 8. I guess they mean the bottom of that one lines up with 3. Let's do that. Let's make a horizontal constraint. There it is. Between the bottom of that diagonal line and this line right here. Well, how about that point? There we go. So now if I move this line, they stay here. If I move this line, it stays the same height. Okay, we've got it. Next, a quick sketch of the profile to show the constraints you added. What? Use a construction line to create a vertical line through the midpoints of lines 1 and line 6. We will later use this as a line of symmetry. So you want a vertical line between line 1 and line 6 in the midpoints. All right, I'm going to grab this line, and if I zoom in, you can sort of see, I think this notation here is at the midpoint. Yep, the midpoint symbol comes out. The midpoint looks like this guy right here. So, you know, right now I just have coincident, coincident, coincident. It'll snap to midpoint. Midpoint. All right. I want the midpoint of the top line. There it is, midpoint. And I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to select that line, and I'm going to turn it into a construction line. I can do that by right-clicking on it, making construction, or I can hit that guy and it changes the status. I do want it to be vertical, though. This line right here. There we go. Now it's centered directly. The centers overtop each other. All right, yeah, we did this. This is all the stuff we got. All right, fix the midpoint of line 1 to the origin. So let's use the fix. Let's find that midpoint, fix it to the origin, which I'm going to zoom in so that, see, I'm just touching the line. I want to make sure I can highlight just that origin point. Why can't I get the origin? Maybe I can click the origin first. There. Oh, that's a line. No, now I've got to go back and unclick. Alright, I can click the origin first. There we go. And click fix. And it will, alright, fix. Maybe I can click the origin first. Why can't I click the origin? That's really annoying. You know what? Something cool about Onshape is I can just like click and drag and it'll automatically guess, oh, you want this to be stuck here? And it'll do that for me. So I'm going to grab that point. I'm going to, why can't I slide it left or right? Oh. Okay. I guess I'm going to make this skinnier. Just going to move this over. Nope. Can I move this line? No. Well, let me undo some of my constraints I have done. Oh no, I need to keep the ones I've done. I'm going to hit green check, and I'm going to open again. I'm going to show constraints, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Let's see, what can I get rid of? It hasn't happened to me like this before. I'm going to just delete this line and remake it in a minute or 3. Let's see, I'm going to put a point down on here. And I want to say, I want to make this, I'm going to fix this point to the origin. And then I'm going to try to make it the midpoint and see what happens. Why can't I fix it to the origin? That's really annoying. Okay. Maybe it's just already fixed where it is. Okay. Yoink it right to there. And can I make this point the midpoint of this line? Yeah. All right, well, let's undo a bunch of stuff. I don't want to have all that. Let's just try that. Let's do that. Okay. Instead of fixing, let's just let's delete this here, the midpoint constraint. And what else? Let's delete the vertical constraint, because then I can move this little dot over. And if I slide it, why can't I move my dot over? Because it's fixed. I keep hitting fix. That's the problem. I fixed it in place. Okay. That was like 3 minutes extra that don't need to be. All right. And grab this guy and slide him to there. He's fixed there now. I'm going to make it a midpoint constraint for that line, and then I'm going to go back to make this guy vertical, and that should solve the problems I was having. Yep. So as you can see, like, these can be super finicky. I don't know why I didn't notice that I had so many fixed constraints I had to worry about. All right. Only need coincident constraint between the midpoint and line 1. Yeah, all right. It's best practice to avoid using the fixed constraint. Thanks. Except to fix the first sketch element to the origin. Using the fixed constraint can disguise an unconstrained sketch and make it appear fully constrained. Thanks. Yeah. It would have been something that would be nice to do first. So if you haven't started yet, go back, and the first thing you do, make that line, that first line, and then put a midpoint constraint to the origin, make it the midpoint of that line. That would make life super easy when you get to this point. Okay, now it says we're going to draw a circle here as shown. The center should meet the following constraints. It's got to be on a vertical line through the intersection of 3 and 4, so it's got to be below that point right there. And it's got to be tangent to a horizontal line through the midpoint of line 2. So we got to make a construction line over here at the midpoint. That's horizontal, and I'm going to make it construction line, so it's not part of the object. Okay. And I'm going to be awesome and make this guy constrained so it doesn't bother me anymore. Boop, like that. All right, let's do a circle that is, what did it say? It's on a vertical line and it's tangent to the horizontal line. So I'm gonna like go ahead and start. If I click on this guy and then go down, it'll give that vertical constraint. There we go. And I'm gonna make it that big. Does it say how big to make these? Not yet. I'm gonna make a tangent constraint between my circle and this line here. There we go. It's going to look weird because it's not quite the right size and shape. And that's okay. Mirror that across the construction line that's vertical. Find out what constraints are automatically applied. So mirror, we're going to go ahead and use the mirror feature. We're going to select the mirror line. It's going to be this guy. Select the entity to be mirrored, this circle. It only picked the circle. What about if I did this? Can't mirror. Can I mirror? Nope, I can't. Okay. Cool. Well, at least I've got my circle. I'm going to have to go apply some constraints to it. Fully constraining a sketch. Is my sketch fully constrained? No. First of all, some of my lines are still blue. Second of all, I can grab points and do weird stuff with them. Here. Weird stuff happens. Don't want that to happen. Okay. So we can have dimensional constraints, and we're going to make sure it looks kind of like this guy. So let's look at our dimensions. What dimensions do we have? What dimensions can we put on? I've got, here, let me do a snip of this, and I can highlight the ones that we get as we go. All right. Let's get 100 millimeters across the bottom. So dimension, boop. He is 100 across, or she. All right, that changes some of the other stuff, but that's okay. It'll be all right, I promise. Next, oh, I was gonna look in here, hold on. Next, we're gonna get, let me get this guy right here, make the whole diameter 5. All right. Like right now it says 4 points, make it 5. There we go. Does that mean that this is also automatically 5 because it's mirrored? Yes, it does. All right. Notice also it's grayed out because I can't change it, because if I try to change it, it'll contradict the fact that I've mirrored it. If I change it to some other number, it'll have problems. And you can see that if you actually try to change it. Let's see if I can double click it. Oh, it's driven, that's why. It's the driven dimension. I'm going to delete it. You also notice, like, if I were to put a second dimension on this circle, and I were to make that wrong, it cannot be solved. So yeah, let's delete that one. So that's something else to notice. All right, cool. Don't need that. What's next? Oops. I keep going there. That's what I want. Let's get the 20 across the top next. That's the wrong window. Too many windows open. Trying to do too many things. All right, this is 20. Cool. And it's centered, so it should, yep, go out both directions. Excellent. Next, I've got 15 here, and 45 from top to bottom. So 15 for this one, 15 for this one, and 45 top to bottom. Let's see what that does. This is only 15. This is only 15. Oh, this is not even constrained properly yet. Oh man, 15. It's diagonal still. And this to this is going to be 45. And I need this guy to be vertical. Can I do that? Will that change? Yeah, change a couple things. Great, great. The question though is, can I move this out a little bit? Yeah, let's move it out a little bit. I'm missing a constraint. I'm missing a dimension or a constraint. Let's find out. It says, is it fully constrained? Look, theirs doesn't look fully constrained. They still got blue lines here, here, and the circles are blue. So basically they're at the same stage we are, where it's like, we know that we're still missing something, because I can still change, like, I can't change these. I can change, though, the angle these guys are at. I can change that. Let's do this. Let me constrain this one to be equal to that one, because that'll make it symmetrical, and that'll make it perfect. And once this mirrors correctly, you'll notice it lined itself up directly below here, because all these other dimensions, all the distances work out to make it in that location. If it's a mirror image of this one on the left, it doesn't need to have the other constraints because it's a mirror image. We know, because we told it to be a mirror image, that it's symmetrical. It's going to be the same distance away from the center. It's going to be the same height up and down. We know. There's our constraints. Go ahead and take a picture of yours, a screenshot. What is that? Is that what I wanted, a screenshot? Share it. It says if you need to, you can upload something here, but please share the Onshape directly so I can go look at your see if you're fully constrained. I can show you constraints. I can make sure everything's constrained the right way. Resist the urge to like give this one or this one a dimension. Yeah. All right, it's been way too long. I might try to re-record this. If not, well, either way, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, whatever time of day it is. Y'all take care, be safe and healthy, and I'll see y'all soon.